Good morning from Big Sky Country. I'm Stacy, owner of Montana Used Bricks, and the reason I'm laughing is I'm having one of those mornings. I recorded about 10 to 15 minutes of the video and realized I hadn't pushed the record button, and then I started to redo it and realized I didn't have my mic on. So this is how my morning's going. Today I want to discuss organization, or how I decide where I'm going to put stuff in my drawers. I've had several people ask me about organization or how I decide where I'm going to put stuff. My first reaction to how do I decide where I'm going to put stuff, it's where I have space. But then I realized it's not that simple, just like last week when I thought, ooh, lots and lots averages will be simple to discuss. Nothing about Bricklink ever ends up being simple. Easy, yes, but not simple. So when we first started doing the Bricklink store, we had it in the house in my craft room. It quickly took over my craft room and I wasn't able to craft. I had to either do Lego or craft. I couldn't do both. And when we originally started, we just started off with these Sterilite containers, and we'd have baggies for each part, and we'd put these in stacks of 6, and you can imagine how hard it was to go through and pull them. Also at that time I was still doing all of my inventory by memory before I started using the remarks. So if you're just starting out, I highly recommend use the remarks on Bricklink as soon as you start putting stuff into inventory. It'll save you a lot of heartache in the long run. In the remarks we have, for these containers, we call them stackables, so it's stackable 1, 2, 3, 4. For the drawers we just use the numbers starting at 0. When you're putting the remarks in, I think I said this on my store tour, if you plan on using 1,000 drawers, make sure you put 0001 when you put it in the remarks. When you print out the order by the remarks, your drawers will be in the right order. When we moved out to our shop, and by the way, the shop is 20 by 20. I had somebody ask me that in one of the comments or sent me a message wanting to know how big our shop is. It's a 20 by 20 shop. It has a door, 2 windows, electric heat, and an AC unit. There's carpet over top of concrete, so there's no padding, it's just carpet over concrete. This was a cement pad that was meant for a garage. We are maxed out on what we can build on our property. We live in town on a very small plot of land, so there's a lot of regulations, and when we put this shop up they said, you're done. You've maxed out what you can put for permanent buildings on your property. So I have to make do with this 20 by 20 space. I can't grow this building unless I completely move it and pay rent somewhere, which isn't going to happen. So I have to maximize space. I do a lot of the stack-ons. We still use the stackables. We have some storage containers. We have bead boxes that we use. Basically anywhere I can fit something that I can store things in, I use it. When we first moved out to the shop, I had lots of extra space in my stack-ons, so I was able to grow, but I got to the point where we had used all the drawers and I needed more storage space. And about that time, I saw a couple of videos with Bricklink sellers that had these Papamac storage units, and these are awesome. I love these because they take up very little space. You can change these dividers out so you can make the space in them as big as you want. I use these for parts of a specific color, one part. Most of the time, if they're bigger parts, I will put different colors in, but if they're little parts like this, I will just put the one color in. And these work really well for us. I know some people don't like them because you do have to pull out the drawer, and if it's way in the back you have to pull the drawer all the way out. But for us, because we're limited on space, we love to use these. I'm going to be looking down a lot because I have some examples on a table below here, so I apologize for not keeping eye contact. First thing I want to talk about is how I decide to fill the drawers, because you'll notice behind me that some of my drawers have multiple colored parts in them. Some of them are just one color. How I do this is I generally take one part, such as this wedge plate, and I put all of the colors into one drawer. Because these are big enough, it's pretty easy to thumb through it and find the color that I'm looking for. Some of the parts will have a whole bunch of one color, like these little red axles. I have a ton of those, but I also have a couple of black and one white. Obviously, I don't want to spend 5 minutes digging through to find these, but yet there's really not enough to put these in their own drawer, so I just put them in a baggie and put them in the drawer with those. The other thing that I will do is categories. So for example, with the train parts, I don't have very many train parts, and I usually just have one of each type of part, so I can just stick it in this drawer. They're big enough that I'm able to find what I need really quickly. I do the same thing with the larger animal parts. These all will go into one drawer. Organizing minifigures and minifigs is another story. We have yet to really come up with a really good way to do the minifigure body parts, but as for the actual minifigures, we use the drawers. But what we do is we put the minifigures in a little baggie, and these are taken apart because we know how much people like to put things together. It's Lego after all. So we take them apart, we put the parts into the baggie, we write on the bag what the part number is. We do have to do a little bit of digging to find it, but this works really well for us. The body parts. This is a whole different scenario, and I'll have to get a clip of the setup my husband has in the house so I can kind of show you how he has everything set up so he can build the minifigs. But for stuff that is in inventory that isn't currently in the house, for the torsos, we use one of the big base plates, and we just set all the minifigures on it. At one point, he did have these sorted out by hand color arms and torsos, but as you can see, it's gotten mixed together over time. So it does take quite a bit to look for them, but we've learned to look for the arm color and then the hand color, and you can usually find what you're looking for fairly quickly by doing that. The legs we usually put either in drawers, or if the legs are a lot of the same color, we'll put them in bags and put them in the stackables. So what happens if I sell all the parts out of one drawer? What happens is my husband or I will throw the drawer on my table. And I do this a lot different than several other shops. I know, like Brickstore and Pops and Ralph's, they take them and they just throw them in a box and then they just pick them out when they need a new one. As I said, I'm limited on space. I try not to have a lot of clutter. So instead of just having a big box of empty drawers, what I do is I have a sheet that I keep track of the drawer when it becomes empty. I write it on this sheet, and then I can pull the drawer when I need to expand on my parts. Is this time consuming? Yes, very much so. But it works for me because I don't want the extra clutter of a box of empty drawers laying around. And once I set this up, it's really quick for me to use. If it's empty, it gets written on the list. If I use it, I cross it off. I can also look to see if there's other parts in that area. I can look to see if maybe there's a drawer close to where some of the other parts are. I have a list for the large drawers, medium drawers, I have some small drawers, and then also for the Papamax. And then I also write whether it's a 1 slot, 2 slots, or 3 slots, so I know how big of a space I'm looking for. Okay, so what do I do if one of my drawers becomes full? Let's say I had this full and it was mainly yellow. So what I would do is I would take out all of the yellow and I would move it to its own slot in the Papamax. I'm able to better see the parts that I don't have that many of. The yellow isn't overpowering and I don't have to keep dumping these out to look for the parts that I need. It's all about space for me, because I'm very envious of those stores that could have a drawer for each color in each part, but I just don't have that kind of space, so I need to condense as much as possible. I do try to separate certain colors. I never put light bluish gray and light gray in the same drawer unless one of those is in a baggie. Same with dark gray, dark bluish gray, and the brown and the reddish brown. I don't ever put those in the same drawer unless they're separated by a baggie, because otherwise you're gonna grab the wrong one when you go to do the order, especially if you're doing a big order and you're not really paying attention. Several of the other containers we use a lot of, as I mentioned before, are these bead boxes that you can get at Joann's or Walmart in the craft section where the beading is. The little pieces that we don't have a whole lot of. So this one has a wide variety. It has a lot of plants in it. It's also got some vehicle stuff, a couple of tiles, just a variety of stuff that we don't have enough to fill a whole drawer, but we need to be able to find it quickly. As I said in my store tour, the boxes are each numbered, and then the slots are each number. So this is box 19, I believe. Yeah, box 19, and then I would put box 19 dash 1, 2, 3, wherever the part goes. The other container we use are these Sterilite containers, and we basically have these because we were using these in the house before we built our shop, and we had so many of them, and I didn't feel like going through and taking these out and putting them into drawers, and I'm glad I didn't, because now we need the space. So we use quite a few of these, and same thing, sometimes I'll have colors mixed together, sometimes I'll just have one color in each slot. It really depends on the part and how many of the part I have. I'm going to switch up the angle and show you a couple of my bigger drawers and show you how I do those. Before I show you the drawers, I just wanted to show you, this is the spot that was basically empty when we first moved in to the shop. What we ended up doing is we ended up putting stickered parts into these two sections. So most of our sticker parts are in those two, and then our new parts are that one container down there and those three right there. That's just our new section. We have a very small new section. The flow of our store is a little bit off just because of our growth. So the numbering starts in this upper left-hand corner. There's 1, and then they go across and down by rows. So once you get down to the bottom, then you come up here, and then the numbering continues that way. The stack-ons are the same way. They start with stackable 1, and then they just keep going up in number that way. When you get over to this point, we have a couple of extra boxes up there. You'll see that my numbering system is with letters afterwards, just because I didn't want to renumber everything. These two black units are a lot smaller than the stack-ons. We originally bought these when we were in the house, and I still wanted to use them. These are really, really great for little parts like the 1x1 round plates and axles and that sort of thing. Then I have this storage unit here, which used to actually have all my crafts in it. Went through my crafts and eliminated quite a bit and thought this would be a great unit to have out here in the shop. And in some of the smaller drawers, I do have dollar store dividers that I bought. This has a combination for bigger parts that don't fit in the drawers. In these drawers, like I was saying, I put bags in these bigger drawers, and just have the parts in these drawers in bags. And you can see I do that with several of them here. With this one, this is airline parts, so it's a category of big parts that won't fit into the drawers. So with the number, to continue on with the numbering system, it goes down to here, skips the table, and then the numbering picks up over here. Because we had our new parts at the very end, the numbering actually goes from this drawer over to here, this little one that has some more sticker parts in it, and then it's picked up here with the Papamax, And each of the drawers have a number, each of the slots have a letter. Below that, I'm still trying to find some shelving units. If anybody has suggestions on shelving units for these larger plates, I would love to hear it because I would like to get a couple of more. This one was made by my husband. This one was just parts that I was going to throw away anyway. We use those for the torso assemblies. So, because of the way we grew our store, we have drawer 1277 there, and then you have to walk over to here to continue with the numbering of the Papa bags. So it doesn't flow quite the way we want it to, but that was just due to our growth and the size of our inventory. Then all of our boxes are over on this shelf here. These units here are marked as storage 3 through 14. If you're wondering why I started with such an odd number, is because I was still using some of those containers. Those are containers 1 and 2 down there. I don't use those that often because I don't like to have to keep moving containers around, but I would use those if I ran out of space for the larger parts. In these, there's a lot of bricks and plates in these. There's 1x4s in here, there's 2x2s in here. This one I need to sort out because it just got too full. But there's 2x4 bricks, and then there's also 2x6 plates in this as well. So this is one of those drawers I need to clean out and put in different locations. Down at the bottom, I have stuff that doesn't get sold as often, such as the rafts and boats, and some of the larger wheels are in there. I sort them out and put them in baggies so it's easier to find stuff. Above that, I have wheels. Wheels is another one that just will take over your store. I have multiple containers that have wheels in them. I hope that answered some of the questions that people had asked me about how I organize or how I decide where things will go. For organization, it varies a lot from store to store because everyone is working with what they have, whether they're on a space constraint, kind of like I am, or they have a bunch of space where they can spread out and they can have a drawer per part per color. It's going to be different from each store. So I hope this gives you some ideas on how you might want to organize if you have a smaller space and what you can do with that space. If you have any additional questions, please put them in the comments below and I will try to answer them, or possibly even do another video if you have specific questions. If you like this video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button and I will see you in the next video. Bye.